Hi everyone. Uh,
Is it open? Oh, it's a bit too soon. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to our Green Match Fund webinar. We're just going to give it a minute to let everyone join, and then we'll get started. Hello to all those just joining us. We're just going to give it a minute as usual to let everyone join the webinar, and then we'll get started. Amazing. So it is 12:01, so I think I'm going to jump in. So firstly, again, thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. It's lovely to see you all on the call. My name's Beth. I'm the Marketing and Comms Manager from Big Give, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sahil, my colleague, and Valerie from Media Trust, who will be introducing herself and telling you a bit more about what Media Trust do as well, which is really exciting. Before we get into all of the details, as usual, just a little bit of housekeeping. You'll see at the bottom of your Zoom panel a chat box. Please do use this to introduce yourself, talk to other people in the call, share ideas or any issues that you have throughout the session. We do have a Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom panel. You can use this to ask us questions. This whole webinar is about you asking us questions, so please don't be afraid to pop your questions there. We would love to answer as many questions as we can. We'll also have the option to raise your hand. So if you would like to speak to us and break up our voices a bit, we'd love to also answer that question live as well. If for any reason you need captions, there is also a button at the bottom of your Zoom panel to enable those captions if needed. And as always, the webinar is being recorded, so you can share this with colleagues and watch it again if you would like to. And if we don't get to some of the questions for any reason, you can contact us directly at hello@biggive.org, and we'd be very happy to answer those questions via email as well. So just a little bit of background information on the campaign, just to help form basis of some of your questions potentially. We do have our Trello board available now. So if you go to the resources section of the portal, you'll be able to find this link. Sahil might also put it in the chat, or I will at some point. But here you'll be able to access all of our Green Match Fund logos. You'll be able to access all of the templates and assets that we created, including social media templates that you can use as a basis for some of your designs, as well as links to our key messages docs and case studies, etc. So I definitely encourage you to have a look at some of those if you haven't already. This is a great basis for some of your marketing plans, and also if you're very strapped for time, particularly utilizing the social assets there is really useful. All of our social media templates that we provide are available to edit on Canva, so you can add in your own logos, you can change up the colors to suit your branding if needed as well. We also have on the website a link to our case studies. This is really useful just to get an understanding of what some of our other charity partners have done. These are focused specifically around the Christmas challenge, but we find that all of the information that is in these case studies is transferable across our campaigns. It's a really great basis to just find some ideas and find out how other charities have fundraised or what they did that worked and didn't work. So I definitely encourage you, particularly if this is your first Big Give campaign with us, it's really useful to have a look at some of these case studies and get some ideas. We also have a Facebook group. We find that this is really useful for charities to speak to each other, to discuss different ideas with each other, and also just to answer each other's questions, particularly during that campaign week. We at Big Give always try to answer emails as quickly as possible, but as you can imagine, that campaign week gets super busy, so it might take slightly longer to get some replies to your emails. So sometimes it's really useful just to have this Facebook group to ask a really quick question to some other people that are well aware of what the campaign rules and what's going on, so you can get that answer really quickly. So I definitely encourage you to go into that Facebook group and join if you haven't already. It's a really useful resource for charities. And Finally, and probably most importantly, it's really important that you are aware of the main campaign rules and how the campaign works. So, just to go over that in a little bit more detail, you should have all received your offer now to take part in the campaign.
Just quickly jump in there. Some charities we have contacted because their offers will still be going out next week, just in case you haven't received that yet. But should have all received an email about that if you have been affected by that.
Great, thanks, Sahil. So if you have received an offer, official offer, you'll be able to accept that. If you haven't received yours yet, that's absolutely fine. As Sahil mentioned, you can accept that next week, but that will just allow you essentially to get access to the campaign dashboard. And from there, you'll be able to access your campaign page. If for any reason you can't access your campaign page at that stage, it may be because you haven't uploaded your bank details yet or you haven't had them approved. In either case, we'd advise you just to get in touch with us if you're unsure, and definitely make sure that all of your campaign or your bank details are uploaded and up to date, because obviously this enables you to take donations on our platform, so it's very important. You can also edit all media of the page. So that's all of your videos and pictures. You can edit that all the way up into the campaign week, even during the campaign week if you want to. So there's no huge pressure to have this done right now if you're waiting for a video to be completed. But we would definitely encourage you to add some pictures, add some videos to your campaign page if you can. Another important thing about the campaign page is that whilst you have access to the page and you can start sharing that unique URL in your comms and everything from now if you want to, the donate button will not appear on that page until 12 p.m. midday on the 22nd. So it's really important that you're aware of that, just in case you're wondering how people can donate. And it will disappear at midday on the last day of the campaign as well. And in terms of the payment options, you can see on the right-hand side here the kind of payment options that we do accept. Important thing to note here is that we can't accept donations received offline. All of our match funding is done in real time. So when your donors go to the campaign page and so say, as example, make a £10 donation, they'll see that that £10 is being matched to £20, and they'll see that all tally up in real time and your target update as well. So we can't match any donations that you receive offline or via other giving platforms like Just Giving, for example. And we also can't accept donations via cash, check, or CAP. So that's something really important to keep in mind, particularly as you're going out to your donors to promote your campaign. Um, I lied. This is the final slide. So just in regards to PR and media, as you might be aware, Big Give do all of our own PR and media around the campaign just to raise awareness about the great opportunity that this campaign presents and ultimately to try and secure new support to obviously donate to all of your amazing causes. So if you do have any high profile ambassadors that you work closely with who might be endorsing your campaign, we'd love to have a conversation with you about it. We work with a retained PR agency called Soho Communications who support us with accessing free PR opportunities for our charity partners. So if you potentially have someone in mind and I haven't been in touch with you already, please do get in touch or get back to me via email, and I would love to continue that conversation. So I think that's the last of my slides. I will pass over to Val now to discuss what Media Trust do.
Yes, thank you so much. I will just quickly share my screen. Let me know if it's all good.
Yeah, all good.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. That was really insightful. And as I said, I'm kind of hijacking this meeting a little bit, but that's mainly because we at Media Trust are also very passionate about the environment and climate. And that's how I got connected to Big Give. And by telling them about what we do when it comes to climate and the environment, we thought it would be a good opportunity for me to just quickly tell you a little bit more about the program. But as I said, I'll keep it very short. We actually have a Q&A session next week on the 18th, and we'll share more information with you. But I think it's just good to know about it. So at Media Trust, we believe that it's by giving everyone a voice that we'll get a more equal society. And we do this by providing training for charities, other organizations, and match them with media industry volunteers to strengthen their storytelling, advocacy, and campaigning. We work with young people We work with lots of different organizations and also talent from underrepresented communities to just give them more skills, access, and to help them progress in their career. Now, within Media Trust itself, I am leading our program called Communicating Climate. That is a 6-month strategic communications and campaigning program, which is specifically designed for different organizations working on climate justice, grassroots advocacy, and community-focused climate action. I know it's very much focused on the topic climate, but it also any topic that intersects with climate and environment is also addressed by the program. And the aim of the program is to empower impactful climate campaigns and inspire meaningful action. The program itself is funded by NGOMD and it is completely free. We are looking for 20 organizations who want to take part in the program. We've started the application phase, I think 2 weeks ago, and the program itself will actually start running in May. So during the program, you will learn how to build skills and strategies for campaigning, how to develop impactful climate communications, how to strengthen your different campaigns. You'll also foster collaboration, gain personal support from industry experts that is actually led by our funder, MGOMD, and learn advocacy and mobilization techniques. I think, oh, this is not the last one, but almost the last one. And just to give you an idea of how the program itself looks like. So as I said, it's entirely online to give as many people the chance to be part of it. We will have 5 interactive workshops that are led by climate and campaigning experts, such as HEARD, Climate Outreach, and other campaigning organizations. We will also have a session where you can present your message or your campaigning narrative to an expert in the industry, and they can help you to refine that message. And we'll also create peer-to-peer networking sessions and also personalized support. One thing that is actually open for the wider sector, so for the cohort itself, but everyone else who is interested, is our masterclasses. There will be one next month in April that we'll want to do with Green New Deal Rising, that is also on just the current climate environment and the politics around it. But yeah, just to give you an idea of how the program actually looks like. My last slide is on who can apply for the program. So it'll be any organization that has a charitable purpose. So you don't have to be only a registered charity, but we also have organizations being part such as CIC or CIO, social enterprise, etc. One of the key things is though that the work that the organization are doing will have to be in the UK. And we only take organizations who have an annual turnover of 5 million or less. So we work with smaller organizations. The organizations will primarily work on climate justice, but also any related areas that are interlinking with climate justice, such as human rights, health, or education. And we really want the organizations to apply with a campaign idea they have in mind that they want to develop throughout the program. Campaign idea is a very broad or vague term, but it is anything that you've either already worked on, want to work on, and can show like what your idea behind is and how you want to implement it. I will leave it at that because yes, I know I've hijacked this meeting. I'm very grateful to get a bit of time, and I'll pop more information in the link, and you can all come to the Q&A session next week, Tuesday, between 1 and 2, if you're available. Thanks so much, Sahil.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you for sharing that. We actually already have a question from someone I can see from Joanna, who's asking how can we apply for the program. So there's already interest I see.
Hey.
Yeah.
I will share the link to our website in the chat. I'll do that right
Okay,
away.
brilliant. Yeah,
Thank you
we'll
so
put
much.
Val will put that in the chat. So yeah, anyone interested, which I imagine a lot of you will be, can go through that link and apply. Beth, are there any questions to start us off?
Yeah, so we had a question from Sue come in on the Q&A box, and it says, if we are given cash, how do we send it to Big Give for match funding?
That's a great question. For any cash donations, including like if you run like a bake sale and got cash that way, you would need a third party to donate that those proceeds to your Big Give campaign page. So it could be an individual or another organization, but they would need to go onto your Big Give campaign page on our site and then make the donation if you receive any cash donations.
Great, thanks, Sahil. And I can see that Charlotte's actually raising her hand. I wonder if we can give her a chance to speak
Yes.
if able.
So, Charlotte, I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk if you want to unmute. I don't know if you have a question for us. Uh, Hi, Charlotte.
I didn't actually mean for my hand to be up, to be honest, but I do have questions, so that's fine. I'll
Yeah.
continue. So I'm here on behalf of a charity called One Hope, and we're just a bit unsure kind of how to get the best out of the campaign period, what we need to do, to make the best of this opportunity.
Great. Beth, do you want to start or I can start?
Yeah, really good question. Just question back to you first. Is this your first Big Give campaign with us, or have you taken part in a campaign with us before?
This is the first one, yeah.
Okay, great. No, that's really useful to know. I think, as I mentioned earlier on in when I was showing those slides, I think the first kind of point of call would be to have a look at some of our existing resources available on the portal. So in the portal itself, when you go to the support section under Green Match Fund, you'll find resources that illustrate what kind of happens at each stage of the campaign process. These are really good just to give you a bit of background on what you can expect to happen at each stage, and sometimes they're just useful to refer back to as well. I'd also encourage you to have a look at that Trello board resource that I mentioned. I think Sahil put the link in the chat somewhere, and also potentially those case studies if you have some time. These are just a great way to kind of start in terms of thinking about what your social media assets could look like, or what other charities have done, and what that how useful, well, how they've made the most of that opportunity. But ultimately, I think it's hard to give what works best for each organization, because ultimately will differ depending on the charity. But I think about your current comms plan. Obviously, we're about 6 weeks away from the campaign now. So think about, is there a way you can start teasing the campaign? Potentially, if you've got like a monthly newsletter that you put out, is there a way to start letting donors know what's happening? And potentially, is there a way to start planning some of your comms? So scheduling your emails or scheduling your social media posts and just getting prepped in advance. Appreciate that's a lot of information, Sahil. I don't know if you had anything to add.
Yeah, I'd also add, what are your goals for the campaign? So obviously you want to raise donations to unlock that match funding. Obviously that's the primary goal, but what are the secondary goals? So it could be like you want to gain X number of new supporters through the campaign, or it could be to increase your social media following by X amount. So it may be good to think about those sort of specific goals that you want to achieve through the campaign and then start working your way from there. So, for example, if you do want to get new donors or new supporters through the campaign, then you maybe want to do some network mapping to identify where those donors could potentially come from, what channels, either social media or in person, or through which networks they come from. Or like if you want to do increase your social media following, well then yeah, how are you going to do that? What sort of content do you want to get out then? What type of demographic do you want to target? So yeah, I think that's a good place to start by thinking those more specific goals about like what else you want to achieve from the campaign. I hope that helps answer that question, but yeah, you can let us know if you need a bit more further information or if you have any other questions, Charlotte. I think Charlotte has said thank you. I think that has answered her question. So let me just um, remove Charlotte, and I think Amy Warner has a hand up, so I'll just allow her to talk. Hi, Amy.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
So it's just going on the back of that. So once we've done the campaign and everything, do you then send us like a spreadsheet of everyone's names, how much they donated, how they came to us, anything like that? Or how do we find that link with the social media? Because I assume you can't track that through the Big Give website, can you?
Yeah, so in terms of the donations, that will be all available in your campaign dashboard. So have access to a donation report. And that's updated in real time. So as the campaign's going and getting donations, that report will continuously update. So that will have obviously your donor information, how much they donated, gift date, opt-ins, etc. So you can access that as soon as the campaign started and you start receiving donations. And yeah, on the social media tracking, we can't put any UTM parameters or anything like that on individual campaign pages. So unfortunately, there isn't like social media tracking you can do like that. If you are paying for any ads, our advice is to set up a landing page on your own website, which then you put a UTM tracking link and then have that page sort of linked to your Big Give campaign page. Obviously, we understand that won't show like the conversion rate, but it will show you some data on like how many people are clicking through. So that's
Yeah.
our advice on social media.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Great.
Got a
Beth, what
question
questions?
here in the chat from Jenny. So thank you so much for these helpful resources. Many of our existing supporters are US and African based. Is it possible for them to donate in their own currencies?
So we can accept donations from anywhere abroad, but all donations are made in pound sterling. So donors from abroad will be charged at their bank's exchange rate, depending on what that is.
Great. And a question here from Annie. Can you tell us more about the support from Big Give, especially for those of us that are new to this sort of fundraising? So yeah, our marketing support kind of covers two main brackets. So we've got our B2B and our B2C. So our B2B is focused around supporting our charity partners to maximize opportunity. So this is why we do things like this webinar to help you to give you some advice and to give you some background details on the campaign. And we also have a webinar next week. Or maybe in 2 weeks' time, we're inviting one of
Next
our
week.
charity partners to join us and to give you some more details about what made their campaign work. So these are just, again, really useful, and you're already making the right first step if you're attending the webinar today. As mentioned already, we have those assets available in the portal as well and in the Trello board, which to help you just get a starting point in the sense of planning all of your marketing and comms around the campaign. So again, definitely encourage you to have a look at some of those if you haven't already. And then our B2C is focused around raising awareness about the broader campaign opportunity with kind of the national press and also with Big Give Zone donors. So we have a donor base like our email subscriber list of over 90,000 people who will email and promote the campaign with. And we'll also do all of our own kind of PR and media around the campaign. So we'll aim to release a press release and get some national coverage, as well as our own social media and everything, just to promote the campaign and try and drive as much traffic to the website during that campaign week as well. So hopefully that helps to answer that question.
Cool. We have a question here from Michelle, just asking if a school does a fundraiser, can they transfer the money raised to their campaign? Yes. So if they get cash donation through that fundraiser, they can then, when the campaign is open, they can visit your campaign page and then use a card to make that donation of those proceeds. I think I've answered the question from Rosanna about tracking links. So yeah. Question here from Rachel. We were limited to 20% of our turnover as the total target, and Rachel just wants to understand why we have that limit in place. That's a good question. So yeah, we have that limit in agreement with our champions, and the reason for that is that we don't want charities to use our campaigns as the sole sort of income. So we limit charities to 10% to apply for champion funding, which is no more than 10% of their annual income, just so to ensure, charities aren't using our campaigns as a cash cow and because if they are, then it would be unsustainable in the long term. So we want charities to have a diversified income streams, one of which would be our campaigns, but also using other channels and mechanisms to generate income for their organizations.
I think also to add to that is ultimately our goal at Big Give is to try and support as many charities as possible. And obviously, as I'm sure you're all aware of with your own funding and trying to apply for grants and things, there is a finite amount of match funding that we have available. So it's also the aim of trying to support as many charities as possible with the funding that we have as well.
So to follow up, do you have a sense of whether Big Give motivates additional giving beyond match funds, or is it all driven by the charity itself? I can start that one off in terms of, well, our own evidence does say that the match funding encourages people to give, but also encourages them to give more. So that is primarily why someone will be donating to you through this campaign as opposed to any other campaign, is that headline of match funding and having their donation doubled. But beyond that, there is that onus on charities to market their campaigns to their own supporters. But as Beth mentioned, we do that sort of a supplementary marketing where we have that donor database who we're going out to also share the campaign with, and we do that PR activity as well. And across our campaigns, on average, 90 to 95% of charities get at least one donation from a completely new supporter. So that is that sort of charities do get new supporters through our campaigns, and that has been shown time and again. Beth, I didn't know if you want to add to that.
I mean, I think you've answered that really well, to be honest. I think it's also just about the kind of donor stewardship plans that you have in place after the campaign. As Sahil mentioned, we have that donor report where you'll have access to all of the details from all of your supporters, and you'll also see the email addresses of everyone who's opted into receiving comms from you. So it's really important that you are, adding them to your mailing list, that you're keeping them engaged. And we've heard from charities just anecdotally that they've had someone donate to their Big Give campaign who signed up to their mailing list and end up, donating thousands of pounds and become one of their major donors. And it only started off with a very small kind of lower level donation. So you never know who's making that first donation to you. So it's really important that you do have a kind of post-campaign stewardship plan in place.
Great. Question from Rachel. Can we only start creating the campaign once we have received the offer and have accepted? So yeah, as mentioned, some charities haven't received the formal offer yet, although you will be getting an offer. So if you haven't received the offer yet, you can still access your campaign page as long as you've uploaded your bank and trustee details. So if you've done that and they've been approved, you can still access your campaign page, even though you haven't got the offer yet. Just visit your Green Match Fund dashboard, and there should be a View Campaign Page button. And if you click on that, you can access your campaign page. So you can use that in your if you need to start using that from now.
Thanks, Sahil. The question here, just relating to that donor report, are we able to contact donors from previous campaigns who donated before and ask them to donate again? Does GDPR allow this?
Yeah, so just to firstly say, our opt-in policy for donors, it only covers email comms, so you can only contact donors via email if they've opted in, and you'll see donors who have opted in, you'll only be able to see their email address. And yes, you can contact them if you're taking part in previous campaigns and donors have opted in, you can contact them again. You can add them to any of your mailing lists. Yeah, our policies cover that, so that is completely fine to do.
Fab. And Sue asked, to accept the offer, do we just reply to the email?
So in the email, it should tell you how to accept the offer. You'll need to log into your Big Give account and visit your Green Match Fund dashboard, and then formally accept the offer by clicking the accept button. Can't see any further questions. So if you do have any further questions, please do ask. But Val, I had a question for you. Is this the first time you're running your climate program, or how long has it been running for, and what successes have you seen from it if you have run it before?
That's a great question. It's actually year 5 now, which feels kind of big. And we've had, I think in total now 90 organizations / charities being part of the program. But a lot of them I'm actually still in contact, which is really exciting to just hear how their campaign have developed. Some of them have also suggested other organizations to be part. And it's very much like learning new skills during the programs. So that is something exciting to see. I can actually give an example from last year, which was very much connected to a campaign they did during the program, is that during our one-to-one support with MGOMD, the agency was actually able to get some out of office advertising space at Canary Wharf. And they were able to give it to one of the participating charities, and they were able to like display a big ad for their organization. So it's very diverse, but just seeing that people are able to use their time more efficiently, because we work with a lot of small organizations who don't have much time. They're most likely doing 2 roles in one. So yeah, it's we've seen some really great success, and this year we want to make it even more tangible with great campaigns from the different organizations.
Amazing. So you mentioned there's that peer-to-peer learning element. So is that connecting with previous cohort members? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's every time I have the different workshops and we put the cohort into different breakout rooms, there are just so many great discussions that come up. So we want to make sure that this year we just give more opportunities for the cohort to actually talk to each other. So the 20 organizations to talk to each other. But beyond that, we also try to connect the previous participants with the current participant and like all of them together. So basically it's our alumni network. It has been a bit inactive in previous years, but we have 90 organizations in there, 20 now more to come. So I'm trying to, we'll also put up 1 or 2 events where we just try and get most of them together to just like exchange some learning success and maybe something they're struggling with.
Great.
So,
And you mentioned, I think on one of the slides towards the end, you mentioned like charities have to have a campaign idea ready.
yeah.
So yeah, just like you said, like it doesn't have to be so well developed. How much detail would they have to have at this stage?
Yeah, so obviously we'll ask more information about the campaign idea you have within the application process. So it shouldn't just be something that you've just come up with and have like a loose, vague idea. The more information or the more thought through it is, the better. But honestly, for us, it can be something that you've already tried and maybe didn't have the success you were thinking of, or something that you are talking to your colleagues, something that is a little bit more thought through and written down. So it's very loose, and we're also open to guiding you a little bit if you have struggles to like write down your idea. But it should be more than just something you've just thought about, but it can also be less than something that is like completely thought through and already has a full out strategy.
And campaigns can be as broad as like raising awareness, or it could be like for a specific project. It can be quite broad.
Exactly. So with campaign, I always say it's a difficult, but I guess also not difficult term, but like everything is kind of a campaign. Everything, like me trying to get applicants to or organizations to apply for this program, like that is already my campaign in different ways. So it doesn't always have to be the like kind of activist campaign knee brute you're thinking of, but a campaign is like I'm having this idea of how we can get more donations, like that is a campaign, or like I'm having this idea of how we can get an external partner, and like I would just need a little bit of guidance with that. So campaign is any activity, program, what is another word for campaign? I guess like idea
Yeah.
you're thinking of that you want to just work on a bit more. We didn't do that in previous years, but this year we really want to make sure we can guide the organizations to come out with something more tangible. So that's why we added that element.
Great. And I guess, like you said, like charities applying, they can sort of, it's climate focused, but there is sort of some tangents there.
Definitely, yeah.
So
and it can be also that maybe like last year we had a few organizations who were focusing on education, and they had like a climate program within their curriculum, or we had an organization working on health. Another organization was doing something in transport. So it's basically if it can either be outright like an organization working on climate justice or climate change, but it can also be another organization that is interlinked with the topic, and that can also be housing, just like the way if you're able to show in which way the course you're working on is connected to climate or in the environment, then we're very open.
that is a good advice, because we did have some applications from charities this year, and unfortunately, like they didn't focus the application specifically on the environment, even though it is the Green Match Fund. So that's always good advice about any application you're doing. Just make sure you're focusing it on what that campaign or program is for, just to make sure, yeah, you hit that
exactly
button.
Yeah, and you don't, and as I said, like it can have different ways. I think as long as you can show like how that element ties into your organization's mission, then you kind of got it.
Great. Beth, I don't know if there are any other questions that have come in, or
It
yeah,
might
but any
just be worth repeating that message you said about the offers, just to confirm for any charities who haven't got their official offer yet.
Yeah, so there were some charity. Basically, we are having talks with a major funder, which are due to be concluded early next week. And so some a majority of charities that are taking part in the Green Match Fund haven't received that official offer yet. So we emailed you a few, I think it was last week, telling you that you will be receiving an offer, but at this stage we can't tell you how much funding you'll get, because it depends on how those conversations with that major funder go. So once those talks have concluded next week, by the end of next week, we will send you that formal offer out, and then you can accept it via your big Green Match Fund dashboard. So yeah, you would have received that email from us, and if you're attending this webinar, I think you would have seen that email. But if you're unsure, just contact us and we can look into it for you. I can't see any questions, Beth. I don't know if there's anything else you want to cover.
I don't think so. I think the only thing I'll just flag again is obviously we are having another webinar next week where we will invite one of our charity partners to join who have taken part in multiple campaigns with us. So we definitely encourage you, especially if you're new to match funding, just to enjoy that webinar. It'll be really useful just to hear from that charity about what they've done, what's worked, and how they've maximized opportunities. So yeah, please do join us for the webinar next week as well.
Just want to say thank you to Valerie for joining us today and sharing your program with us, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of interest from that. And we will be including further information about BG Trusted programs in the next few weeks as well. So we'll email that to all of you. So please look out for that email. But yeah, in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to Valerie, and thank you to everyone for joining us and asking us questions.
Thanks.
See you, everyone. Bye.